Shabbat Shalom, y'all. So, yes, we have this incredible Torah portion. There's lots to this Torah portion, but I'm going to follow Naomi's lead and tune in to the daughters of Zelophehad. So, there's a few amazing things about these gals. There's 5 of them, and as Naomi said, they're named, which is unusual it's unusual to name anybody, but in particular, girls and women. And so these daughters, the situation is that their father has died, and the inheritance laws, as they understood them at this point, were that only sons inherited. And the daughters say, no, so our father's name is going to be forgotten because he had no sons? What about us? How about we inherit his stuff and we carry on his name? How would that be? And Moses takes it to God and says, I don't know what to do. These ladies are like up me all over me about this inheritance situation. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? And God is like, hello? Yeah, let them inherit the stuff. Let them carry on their father's name, of course. You needed to ask me? I'm a busy deity. Really? Sheesh. That's what y'all have laws for. So Moses goes back and says, okay, go for it. And just like that, tradition changes. Just like that. Because these women found it in themselves to stand up and to question what had been and to say that isn't the way it's supposed to be. The essence of this thing is lineage, the essence, and we know this. We know that the essence is lineage because the Torah takes great pains to link the daughters to Zelophehad, back to Chazer, back to Zijah, to Joseph. And it goes through name by name, the generations, all the way back to Yosef. And who was Yosef? Yosef was the outrageous character. He's an immigrant who becomes great in his adopted land. And yet he knows that he must have his energy, his name, return to where he came from. He knows that there are cycles. He knows that your origin is important and your journey is important. He knows that being completely 100% true to yourself is important. He knows that his story is important, and his story actually has to go all the way back to where he started. And then it has to leave again, and it goes back and it leaves, and it goes back and it leaves. And this is this beautiful cycle, and we're going to stop it because this man didn't have sons? No, we're not going to. In fact, we're going to link in these beautiful young women to that lineage, to that chain, to that transmission of being. And they are a crucial link in the tale. And that tale is told in the Torah. Now, the Torah might have said, ooh, this is kind of embarrassing. You know, we're like stepping out here, like we're handing over to these people that we have so completely dehumanized, and that we, do we really want to broadcast that? I mean, what if other people's, women start asking for the same role in their lineage? No. The Torah says this is a story that this is a story, it must be told with names and lineage and places. It's this radical fissure in what stood as a monolithic, sexist, patriarchal way of being. This story comes and cracks it. And I love that. So I was looking for inspiration about how these stories, these radical, outrageous, outlandish, sideways stories pop up, and I came across a beautiful quote by Anne Lamott, who starts by quoting Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison said, "The function of freedom is to free someone else." Let me just say that again. Toni Morrison said, the function of freedom is to free someone else. And Anne Lamott goes on to say, and if you are no longer racked or in bondage to a person or a way of life, tell your story. I'm going to say that again too. And if you are no longer racked or in bondage to a person or a way of life, tell your story. Risk freeing someone else. Not everyone will be glad you did. Members of your family and other critics may wish you had kept your secrets. Oh well, what are you going to do? We have to tell our stories, my friends. We have to stand up for ourselves when we have the freedom to do it. I think the reason this story of the daughters of Zelophehad happens when it happens is because they actually knew that they had freedom. They actually knew that they had the freedom to stand up for themselves. And by so doing, they were laying a pathway for us now, 4,000 years later, to continue to stand up for ourselves. They had the freedom to free somebody else, and they used it. That's what we need to be doing here, my friends. We need to be recognizing the freedoms that we have and use them to uplift and free someone else. Otherwise, your freedom is not freedom. It's an illusion. If you can't free somebody else, then you are not free. And if you're free and you're not freeing somebody else, then you soon will not be free. Our tradition teaches that until everyone is free, no one is free. Until we are all totally liberated from anything that would hold us back from being the 100% truest rendition of ourselves, it's empty. We are in a moment in history right now where we see the impact and the limitations of what we call freedom. We are seeing where freedom is real and where freedom is an illusion. And I beg you all to use your freedom to free someone else. I beg you all to tell your story, because you never know. Somebody 4,000 years down the road might need it. And I'm grateful to the daughters of Zelophehad for standing up, using their freedom to free others, and for giving us their beautiful story. And I'm grateful to the Torah for preserving it, even though it was a radical and outrageous thing to do at the time. I bless us all to be radical, outrageous, and 100% true to ourselves. And let this be a Shabbat of integrity and wholeness. Shabbat Shalom.